Welcome back to Visions. I'm Megan Searle, and our guests tonight are Kurt Esser and Jessie Taylor from the Justice Project. Welcome back. Now, before the break, we were talking about the Justice Project's role with the Victorian
Charter of Human
Rights.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
It is a bit.
In its new form, hopefully it'll be called the Victorian Charter of Human Rights and Responsibilities. Professor Williams was very clear that he wanted there to be an opportunity for a certain amount of balance, so that people weren't, as it were, trumpeting their rights, but also that there's an acknowledgement legislatively that people have a responsibility as well. So it's a bit of a mouthful, but I think you'll be hearing a lot more about it.
An important one. Responsibility. Yeah. We all need to take more responsibility, don't we?
Well, every right carries with it a responsibility. I mean, the privilege that we have to vote in Australia carries with it an obligation to vote, and it's one that we hope that Australians will take very seriously in future. And so
what is the Justice Project doing currently? What are you actively involved in now?
Well, what we're doing now is a direct and organic sort of development of our involvement with the Charter. To begin with, we acted as the secretariat for all those interested people, pressure groups, disabled people, Indigenous people who wanted to find out more about the Charter of Rights. So we lent our website, the Justice Project website, www.thejusticeproject.com.au. Yeah. We lent our website to those people who were stakeholders who wanted to have a Charter of Rights. We lent that to them. We appointed a campaign director, a very, very resourceful lady called Tony Ladani. And we, as Jess said, we facilitated the delivery of lots and lots of submissions. The result of that is, happily, that we do have now a piece of draft legislation which Professor George Williams has put together, together with Parliamentary Council, so it's a very developed piece of legislation. It's now open for further debate. So Professor Williams and his friends would like to see Victorians looking very seriously at the draft legislation, looking at his report and tweaking it. If there is an opportunity, for example, for rights to be defined slightly broader, if there's an opportunity for people to have greater remedies, they're the kinds of things that the professor and the attorney are looking for in the second phase of the consultation.
So if it is that this does become law, so the professor's work becomes law, what is the impact on us? Like we've seen the situation we've had up in Cronulla. How would that impact on our society in relation to that?
I think that there is a very important tension being played out at the moment, with particularly the federal government currently legislating, making laws that would tend to narrow our access to our basic human rights, that we sort of have a vague understanding of their importance. Things like the anti-terror legislation has a lot of implications. Sedition, things like tightening the screws on the Migration Act further, which is certainly not beyond the realm of possibility. So there's this interesting tension of the federal government sort of narrowing our scope to access human rights, and now we're really hoping for this state-based legislation to sort of hold that in balance, so that you've got some sort of the states pushing towards the strengthening of human rights, and sort of quite a dynamic situation in Australia where human rights are important, and we do recognise the human rights not only of Jane and Joe Bloggs who live in Kooyong Road, but also of people who are marginalised and don't have access to education and all these other things. We want to make sure that we are looking out for the rights of those who may be marginalised by other legislation, and there'll be other implications of that as well.
It seems to us, Megan, that in Cronulla there's a fair amount of social dislocation.
Yes.
There's a fair amount of non-comprehension on the part of the white supremacists on the one hand, and people from migrant communities on the other. Both feel a fair amount of social dislocation, both feel alienated and marginalised, and we see that the kinds of values that are present in a human rights charter as being a great antidote to that kind of marginalisation. Everyone can look at their charter and say, well, as a Victorian, I have these rights. I'm not marginalised. No. I might be a person from the western suburbs. I might have gone for my 45th interview and not got a job. But I have certain rights. And equally, white supremacists, people who feel that they're marginalised and that they're under threat by the influx of foreign communities, often at their doorsteps, they also have a right to say, well, look, I can express myself. And one of the important things is that for people on both sides of this divide to feel like they can express themselves peacefully.
Yeah. And with that, the responsibility of those rights, I think, you know, coming back to your rights and responsibilities,
Yeah.
you know, that's very empowering.
It provides a framework for discourse, you know,
Yeah.
protecting freedom of speech. You know, it's kind of, okay, you can say that if you want, I disagree with you, but you have the right to say that and I respect that. And maybe if those opportunities had been made more available, then we wouldn't have seen, I mean, obviously Cronulla is a complicated issue, but we might not have seen such a crazy explosion of all of these tensions and bitterness and such a long period of built-up
It's obviously been building up for some time.
It may facilitate easier debate and easier interaction between communities, between groups. So
given that, what is moving forward for the Justice Project? What is your vision? How can people become involved if they're passionate about the cause?
People are very much encouraged to come along to our website to have a look at us at www.thejusticeproject.com.au.
Yeah, we'll pop that up on the screen for everyone who's watching.
Excellent, Megan, thank you. We're indebted to you also for this opportunity of letting us come tell people about it. But people are encouraged to look at our website to make themselves familiar with what we stand for, and if you're interested, there's an opportunity for you to register online or to indeed write to us. We'd love to have you as a volunteer. We'd love to have you on our mailing list, and we look forward to being able to really harness a lot of public interest in these current issues and hope to focus them.
Excellent. We'd like to thank you both for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
You've been watching Visions. I'm Megan Searle, and our guests tonight were Kurt Esser and Jessie Taylor from the Justice Project. Good night and take care.